28, we see her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. That was part of our memory text this morning. So the highest calling that we have here today is that of a mother. And it is the greatest privilege on earth to be a mom, and it's the greatest privilege with a motherhood. Now, there is a truth in the adage, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. I think that's true. If it weren't for mamas, where would the men be right now? Okay? A mother's influence is for good through training, discipline, prayer, but cannot be measured. A mother's prayer are behind the successes of Moses, Samuel, Daniel, and Timothy. And there are other Bible heroes that have their moms. And then without question, we know that Mary, her prayers ascended in behalf of her miracle child, Jesus. And I know that their mother's prayers arise often for all of us. Well, all of us that have moms, some of us don't. But as you're growing up, you always wondered why many times when you wanted to get in trouble, you couldn't. There was somebody praying for you at that moment. And who was that? Mom. Mom was praying. Mom is always praying for you. So be grateful for them. Now, President Abraham Lincoln said, he always says, all I owe to the prayers of my mother. That's what President Lincoln said. Now, according to the history of honoring mothers, in ancient cultures, there was honor was given to the mothers on specific days. In England, there was a holiday called Mothering Sunday. But in America, according to the website Mother's Day, the giving of honor to mothers was begun about approximately 160 years ago by a woman named Anna Jarvis. She was a homemaker who lived in Appalachia. She organized a day of awareness for those experiencing poor health conditions. She created a day which she believed would be best advocated by mothers, and it was called Mother's Work Day. Later on, after this, Julia Ward Howe, who's the author of the lyrics of the Battle Hymn of the Republic, she organized a day encouraging mothers to rally for peace. And 1905, when she died, her daughter, by the same name, began a more formalized campaign for a Mother's Day. So she began to persuade prominent businessmen and politicians, such as President Taft and Theodore Roosevelt, to support her efforts to set aside a special day to honor mothers. In her church in West Virginia in 1908, at one of the first services to honor her mother, she handed out her mother's favorite flower, and that was the white carnation. I always wonder why we gave moms carnations. And in this instance, my husband chose the roses, just so you guys know. He chose them. Okay. So 5 years later, the House of Representatives adopted a resolution which called for employees, all of the federal government, to wear the white carnations on Mother's Day. Then in 1914, all of Anna's hard work paid off when President Woodrow Wilson signed a bill establishing Mother's Day. Now it is reported that on Mother's Day, all children remember their mom. They call their mom, they use their phone if they live far away. Nowadays we do, what is it called? WhatsApp, FaceTime, we call them. It's not like being too far away from them because you're able to talk to them face to face, but we remember our moms on those days. Many of the other people bring flowers to the graves on Mother's Day as a remembrance of them. So, there's a lot of activity happening during that day, but most important too, it's a day that mom doesn't have to cook. Mom is always either dad cooks or they take them out to eat. Whatever the situation is, mom has her special day. Now, So we wish God's blessings on all of our mothers, recognizing that their job requires the wisdom of Solomon, the courage of Moses, and the faithfulness of Daniel, but has the capacity for rich reward as they seek to bend young minds in heaven's direction. So after the sin entered and our first parents heard the solemn pronouncement that they would die, and because of the sin, Adam, instead of bemoaning of the tragedy, even though he did blame his wife, he did something different. Now, when we think of Adam and Eve, when he first introduces Eve, what is the name that he gave her the very first time? It wasn't Eve, woman. Her name was woman. It wasn't until after they did what they did that he says, and I'm sorry, I'm skipping some stuff here. He called her woman only because the rib the Lord had taken from man, he made into a woman, and he brought her into the man. And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, and she shall be called woman." And that is found in Genesis 2:22 and 23. Now, after naming all the animals, and having gone through the procedure, and I call it a procedure because he had to be put asleep, taking the rib out and create the woman, and he named her woman. He went ahead, life went on. Him and Adam, they knew exactly what needed to be done. They were told what not to do, and yet Eve was enticed by what she saw, okay? And that's how sin comes sometimes, is by what we see and we want to do it. But when sin entered through the deception of the serpent, through the woman offering the fruit to Adam, God declared to them their sad fate. He said in Genesis 3 verses 20, 3:19 and 20, he says, "In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you shall return." So at that time, in the next verse, we see that Adam says, "And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living." He had already given her the name woman, but now he gave her the name Eve, the mother of all the living. So what's the message here? With the prospect of death looming large and noting the transgression that had taken place through the agency of the woman, Adam might have named her something differently. Mother of sin, mother of the dead, mother of the lost. But instead, he clung to the promise of hope embedded in the Lord's conversation. He chose to name her Eve, which is translated the mother of all living. So Eve is the mother of all of us. And when you think about it, we are related to her in one form or another. They have done DNA tests that shows that we have a gene that's special from Noah's wife. So we know that in order to have that special gene, it comes from Eve. So we are all descendants of Eve. Let's see. So we can call her, how many greats are going to be represented to say her great, 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 and go on and on and on, grandmother, because she is our grandmother. So mother's love is used in the Bible as an illustration of God's love. It says, "I hope that you have or had a mother who accurately portrayed a godly love towards you." I know that my mom, we were of a Catholic belief when we grew up. I know that my mom and dad loved me. I know my mom really was supportive of the decisions I made. And of course, there were times when she wasn't supportive because, as a teenager, you make weird decisions and they're not very bright and not very smart. But she did her best. She did her best. And we know that our family here as a Christian and as an Adventist, we have learned to love our children more differently than what the world has taught us when we weren't members of a religious organization, or as an Adventist for that matter. But it's important as mothers that we do follow the rules that the Lord has for us in the Bible. There are very many things that we can learn from the Bible. We can learn to discipline them effectively. We can learn to love them effectively, leading them and guiding them in the manner that the Lord wants us to do so. So it is very important that we study on a daily basis what the Lord has in store for us. As I think back, I also see the sacrifices that my mom made for us. And you can think of all the sacrifices your mom has made. You know, especially if your mom worked in order to help support the family. And some mothers were housewives, and they did what they could in their household in order to provide for us. Making the meals, doing the laundry, making outfits for you. Because back then, I can't say for the new generation, but back then in my generation, it wasn't easy for us to go out and buy new clothes or anything. Mom had to learn to sew. Mom had to be able to make out of a pattern something decent for you to wear. And we were very pleased with the outcome, you know. So they did sacrifice a lot of their time and energy in order to support us. So, you know, we don't acknowledge that. We forget sometimes, we take advantage of what our mothers have done for us. And let's not do that as husbands, children. Remember that mom has a life of her own. She has energy that she needs to utilize in order to support the whole family. And let us recognize that she's doing this not only for herself, but she's doing it because out of love, she wants to support the family. We know that there's mothers that are not perfect, but they do their best to reflect the godliness and affection. You know, my mom has been laid to rest. She's sleeping now, but now that I have children and I have grandchildren, I miss her. I miss her because, excuse me, I want to pick up the phone and tell her, oh, Emma did this, Mom. Oh, Mom, Emma said this. Oh, Finley is walking now, Mom. Look at the family, it's growing. And of course, she's not here. But, you know, I have other mothers in my church that I can share that information with. And I appreciate the love, the comfort, and the caring that they give me. Now, not all mothers live up to the ideal, and we know that. We see it every day. There's mothers that, you know, it makes you wonder what possessed them to do what they did with the children. And they are downright the most poor example of God's love. Now we read in Isaiah 49:14 through 16 says, Zion said, the Lord has forsaken me, and my Lord has forgotten me. Can a woman forget her nursing child and not have compassion on the son of her womb? Surely they may forget, yet I will not forget you. See, I have inscribed you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me. We have somebody that remembers us, and that is Jesus Christ. Now, I'm going to tell you that we see a picture of mother's love in the statement made by Jesus, and this is found in Matthew 23:37. He tells us, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the one who kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to her. How often I wanted to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under his wings, but you were not willing to do so. I mean, we do that to our children. Many times our children reject us for whatever reason, you know. It could be because of a marital situation. It could be that it's a choice that they made. They're living a life that we don't approve of. And, they don't want to take her counsel, so they go away and live their own lives and forget that they have a mom and dad. But God enjoys the protection and honor of motherhood. So written in the heart of the Ten Commandments, God's rules for Christian living, first among those which govern our relations with mankind, is a precept dedicated to the appreciation of parenthood. And of course, that is found in Exodus 20:12, the fifth commandment that says, honor your father and your mother. God wrote with his own finger, and it continues to say that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God has given you. So today on this Sabbath, we especially give attention to the fourth, the fourth and the fifth commandment. And giving honor to our mothers, we follow in the footsteps of our Lord, who came to teach us not only how to live, but how to behave. In all things which do not conflict with his duty to his father, he lived in compliance to his parents. So we're going to read Luke 2:51. It says, following his boyhood trip to the temple, then he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was subject to them. Who was he subject to? His parents. The word subject means obedience, or to be a subordinate of an individual. It is used of subjects being subordinates to rulers, devils being subject to the power of God, of the creation being subject to Adam in the beginning. And James counsels us to submit ourselves to God, James 4:7. And Peter writes, submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether to king as supreme, or to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether that to kings of supreme or to governors. That's 1 Peter 2:13. And he continues in 1 Peter 5:5, young people, submit yourselves to your elders. Yes, all of you be submissive to one another and be clothed with humility. That is a hard situation because we see it in our everyday lives. You could be at the store. You could see how children behave with their parents. Some children are not submissive to their parents. They don't obey, and they don't follow what the mother or the father says to them. So that is our fault as parents. We have done something wrong. We have not been able to utilize the information that we have learned to put into practice with our families. So it's very important, not only as a mother, but also as a father, that you unite together, pray together, so that your family can receive the rewards that the Lord has for them. Okay, Jesus is an example of what submissive is, especially to his earthly parents. Though he was a son of God, he learned obedience by the things which he suffered. That was found in Hebrews 5:8. Now, it's amazing that he who gave life of all, including Mary, by the ordinance of God, received life from her. He who rules the universe is subject to his earthly mother. Jesus honored his mother as he began his ministry. He did it by his first miracle by making wine out of water, and then he hands over his mother's care to John at the cross. And how did he know that John would be surviving beyond that? We just know. He just knew, because in all honesty, he is God. He knows things. He knew things. So it is fitting and appropriate. It is a part of the Christian walk that we honor and appreciate our mothers. Now, there's a story that I'm going to tell you. It's a little boy. He came up to his mother in the kitchen while she was cooking. He brings a piece of paper and he hands it to his mother, and she reads it. And it said, for cutting the grass, $5. For cleaning up my room once a week, $1. For going to the store for you, 50 cents. Babysitting my kid brother while you went shopping, 25 cents. Taking out the garbage, $1. For getting a good report card, $5. For cleaning up and raking the yard, $2. So the total that Mom owed him was $14.75. Well, Mom looked at him there standing, and he could see as he was telling her everything he had done, the memories were coming into play. And she picked up the pen, she turned the page over, and she wrote this. For the 9 months I carried you while you were growing inside me, no charge. For all the nights that I sat up with you, doctored and prayed for you, no charge. For all the trying times and all the tears that you've caused through the years, no charge. For all the nights that were filled with dread and for the worries I knew were ahead, no charge. For the toys, food, clothes, and even wiping your nose, no charge. So when you add it up, the cost of my love is no charge. So when the boy finished reading what Mom had written down, he cried. And he says, Mom, I really do love you. He took pen on the place that he had the charges on, and he wrote, paid in full. Yeah. Amen. So we honor and we express appreciation for our mothers. And as a reminder that they are but a reflection of the divine love which brought life and redemption to us. The gifts we could never pay for, love we can never measure. We thank God for our mothers and remember also that Jerusalem above, which is free, is the mother of us all. Thank you. Okay, that is open our hymn books to 12, hymn number 12, and let's please stand up.